A very good evening, welcome to Champions League Live as we kick off the knockout stages of this season's competition, and tonight we watch two sides who took it all the way to the end of the league phase to decide who would play who and where they would end up. Ultimately, they end up meeting each other once again in the very next match, and Benfica, who needed a late goal, if you remember, from that league phase game and got it to progress to this stage, and ultimately winning 4-2 against Real Madrid in that league phase game, and they meet in the knockouts at the very first time of asking. Already this evening we've seen the first game of the knockout stages concluded, Galatasaray thumping Juventus by 5-2 in what was an incredible game to get us underway in Turkey. It was a half-time lead that Juventus had. They had 2-1 in the game after Caoimhan scored 2 goals after Sara gave Galatasaray the lead in the match. An incredible game. that ultimately ended 5-2 to Juventus. And as you can see there, all the goals and all the drama, and Juventus already down to 10 as well in that second half. So a crazy game there in Galatasaray, and dominated by the hosts, who ultimately came out victors. But of course, second leg back in Turin, and a lot of work for Juventus to do if they are going to progress. But in terms of tonight's matchup, as I said, let's a quick look at the two teams for this one. Of course, Benfica, they finished 24th in the league phase table. They won 3 of the last 4 league phase games after losing each of their first 4 matches. Their 3 players lead their scoring with 2 goals each: Sheldrup, Barrero and Pavlidis, so they're sharing the goals around the team. And unfortunately for them, they hit the woodwork the second most times in the league phase, 8 times. Only Bayern Munich hit the woodwork more with 11, and they picked up just 1 clean sheet at home in the league phase. That was in a 2-0 victory over Napoli on match day 6. So certainly not a team that keeps the ball out of their own net, and they struggle to put it in the opposition's net onto a consistent basis. Benfica scraping through to the knockouts, but they're here on merit, and they face a Real Madrid side who finished 9th in the league phase table. Real Madrid, if they'd have actually picked up anything out of that final game away at Benfica in the league phase, they wouldn't have even had to reach this round. Their loss to Benfica on match day 8 denied them a top 8 spot, finishing just a point off 8th place in the league phase table. Albeit Kylian Mbappe is the competition's leading scorer with 13 goals, 5 more than any other in the competition, 5 more than second placed Harry Kane on 8 goals. But they are a team that do show a lot of cards. They've been the least disciplined team, with most yellow cards and red cards in the competition. 19 yellows and 3 reds for Real Madrid. But they do score their penalties when they get them. 3 from 3 from the spot this season in the Champions League. In terms of combined, well, as I said, Benfica beat Real Madrid 4-2 back in January to secure a knockout playoff spot in the final game. Benfica have won 4 of the last 5 games in all competitions, including that previous game between the sides. Real Madrid's only defeat in their last 6 games was the previous meeting between the two sides, and they've won the other 5, have Real Madrid, and retaking top spot in La Liga in doing so. But they will be doing it tonight without Rodrigo and Raul Asencio, who are both suspended after receiving red cards in that game against Benfica a few weeks ago. Tonight, it is a huge game between these two. A rematch of one of the best games of the season so far in the Champions League that left it to the very death to decide who was going to finish where. And that ultimately, that late goal from Trubin got Benfica to this spot. Otherwise, they would have been heading home and would have been knocked out. But it is now win or go home in the knockout stages of the Champions League. 2-legged ties right the way to the final. And it will be tasty right the way through it. If these two live up to any sort of expectations from the previous game, we're in for a treat here at the Estadio da Luz in Lisbon this evening. Also this evening, two other games kicking off at 8 o'clock UK time. Monaco taking on PSG in their their knockout playoff game, and Borussia Dortmund host Atalanta at Signal Iduna Park. Of course, all first leg of these ties. And tomorrow we will be watching Karabag taking on Newcastle. That's the early kickoff, as well as Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan, Atletico's trip to Club Brugge, and Olympiacos taking on Bayer Leverkusen. These are the 16 teams looking to get 8 spots into the round of 16, and we'll tell you all about it right the way through our coverage over the next week or so of this action in the Champions League knockout playoffs. It isn't the first time we've seen it, but those unfamiliar with it, we'll make sure you keep right up to date. Let's have a look at the two teams then for this one. And the man who saved Benfica's season in the Champions League starts in goal in Trubin. A back four of Dedic, Araujo, Otamendi and Dahl, with Arsnes, Barrero and Sheldrup in a midfield 3. Prestiani just behind the front 2 of Rafa Silva and Vangelis Pavlidis. On the bench for Benfica, Ferreira, Ba, Lopez Cabral, Antonio Silva, Bernachea, Sudakov, Rios, Luca Bacchio, Manuel Silva, Aricio Cabral, Ivanovic and Bruma. for Real Madrid. Well, there's been a lot of turmoil since that last game between the two clubs. A sacking of a manager, a terrible Copa del Rey defeat as well that we've seen of Real Madrid in 2026. It's been a pretty topsy-turvy start to the calendar year for the Madridistas, but they're hoping that they can progress in the competition they love more than any other. Thibaut Courtois starts in goal, the back four of Alexander-Arnold, Rudiger, Huysen and Carreras. In midfield, Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Valverde, a very strong midfield for Real. And Arda Güler off the right, Vinicius Jr. off the left, and the competition's leading scorer, Kylian Mbappe, starts up front. On the bench for Madrid, Lunin, Alaba, Martinez, Carvajal, Mendy, Garcia, Diaz, Mastertono, Pitar, Castero, Ceballos and Gonzalo Garcia. And a cracking match-up here at the Estadio da Luz in Lisbon. Benfica against Real Madrid to start the knockout phase of the Champions League. And kick-off is next. A very good evening. Welcome to LFS for this one this evening in what is a incredible atmosphere at the Estadio da Luz. And of course, Jose Mourinho, only Jose Mourinho's team could have done what Benfica did on match day 8 of the league phase. And only really a poetic moment for the Champions League, an incredible moment. And certainly one of the best games we've seen all season in this season's competition. And there have been quite a few contenders, I gotta say. The league phase more than entertained, but it is all about the knockouts. This is when it gets real, as we get underway at the Estadio da Luz. And this is where the best teams in Europe get separated from those that really just aren't up to scratch. And tonight, we see if these can relive and replay what was an unbelievable game here just a few weeks ago. Jose Mourinho, storied history in this competition, but he comes up against his former team for once again, and a team that has won this more than any other. And if there's ever adversity, it's Real Madrid that can find a way to overcome it in this competition, as an early free kick given away by Eduardo Camavinga is going to get Benfica a set piece inside the first minute here. You see it here. It was Barrero just kind of bundled over by Camavinga, and an early free kick for the hosts. And those who watched it a few weeks ago reminiscent this position on the pitch to that winning goal. Cristiani's delivery up and headed away by Madrid, but fed back into the box, taken down by Pavlidis, who has it seen away by Alexander-Arnold. Rudiger wins his header, but again cannot break away as Prestiani's shot well off target. Couldn't get out there for a second, Real Madrid, but they get away with it. Under some early pressure are the visitors, but only able to fend it off ultimately. We have a delayed kickoff, by the way, at Single Udunya Park. 15 minutes delay there, so it's an 8:15 kickoff for Dortmund against Atalanta. I believe, I'm not too sure why that's been delayed, but it is delayed 15 minutes. But there's no delay in Monaco, because we already have our first goal of the night, and it has come for the home side. Flo Balogun has given Monaco the lead against the reigning European champions. It is Monaco 1, Paris Saint-Germain 0. What a start. A goal in the first minute for Flo and Balogun to give Monaco the lead. Now here at the Estadio da Luz, and Tchouaméni's late tackle wins another free kick for the hosts. Side have started a little stronger. Here's Dedic. Switches inside. He plays it back to Barrero. He works it back out to the right-hand side for Prestiani. Lovely little combinations here from Benfica. Silva feeds it in behind. The ball cut across. Cleared away by Rudiger, who was alert, and well, the rest of his teammates were standing watching. Yeah, really good cutback by Arsnes. And Rudiger threw himself at it. Sheldrup was lurking. They started really well, the home team. Real Madrid a little jaded so far. As Prestiani trying the through ball. Works it back out wide. Arsnes. Deep cross. A little overhit, but taken in by Dahl. Dahl up against Alexander-Arnold. Chops back. Plays it back to Sheldrup. Really on the front foot here from the off here, Benfica. Barreiro trying to find Sheldrup, who couldn't get the flick as it's cleared away, but it's one-way traffic. Real Madrid unable to get out of their own defensive third at the minute. Nicely played back to Arsnes by Dedic. Just trying to get some early possession. They've dominated the early moments at this moment in time. Benfica. That's a nice switch ball. Taken in by Dedic. Tries to see Caoimhan down the line. Tries to chink his way past him. And in the end, went down there was Prestiani, but he's not going to get the foul. As Carreras plays it out to Vinicius Jr. with his first run of the game. Turns back inside. Vinicius Jr. on his own up there for Real Madrid. He has to square it back to Valverde. And trying to find Mbappe, but the pace of the ball there evades the Frenchman. It goes out for a Benfica throw. And the crowd respond to that. A real loud cheer. That's a lovely guided header by Sheldrup. Taken in by Pavlidis. He's got Prestiani in front. Camavinga's challenge doesn't quite work, but Carreras positioned himself well to intercept. And Camavinga takes it to the left-hand side for Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr. trying to take on two, trying to work an angle of space to break away, but wrestled well with Dedic, who does come away with the ball. Only momentarily, though. Challenge is flying in. The referee's allowing it to float. Here's Mbappe, surrounded by a real number of players and well cut out by Barreiro, who's breaking away here for Benfica. But his pace just outrun there, ultimately. Good strong tempo to this game. Both sides not looking to stand off. Both looking to go for it. Get amongst it right from the off here. I like to see. There's Vinicius Jr.'s ball down the left is overhits. It's gone for a Benfica play. And you see it here, the little wrestle between Dedic and Vinicius Jr. There's not much in it, to be fair, between the two players. Getting a grip of each other as Trubin kicks long. Headed on by Huysen, but picked up by Barreiro in midfield. He is breaking forward again, but is outpaced once more by Camavinga. Needs a little help there when he does break forward, Barreiro. Very isolated. One or two occasions where he has broke forward and has been unable to carry the ball further than about 10 yards before being dispossessed. Huysen fires the ball into the path of Valverde. Here's Alexander-Arnold. Down the right-hand side it comes to Arda Güler. Chouameni. Back to Rudiger. Now Huysen. Real Madrid starting to get a bit of possession. Here's Vinicius Jr. Camavinga. Back to Huysen. Of course, they said both sides in good form coming into this one here this evening. Alexander-Arnold with that beautiful crossfield ball. Taken in by Vinicius Jr. Really nice passing from Real Madrid here. Goulet tries to break forward, plays it back to Alexander-Arnold. Back to Rudiger and across to Dean Howson. 8 minutes gone. Benfica 0, Real Madrid 0. Benfica actually started the better of the two teams in the first couple of minutes, really dominating Real Madrid, but Madrid starting to get one or two bits of possession, spells of possession. They're just maybe turning the tide a little bit early doors. Already, as I said, an opening goal in that game in Monaco between AS Monaco and Paris Saint-Germain. Monaco leading through Fuller and Balogun's opening minute goal. Here's Mbappe with the first shot of the game. Straight down the throat of Trubin, who did spill it initially, but scrambled to retrieve it on the second. Yeah, straight down the throat of the Benfica goalkeeper there from Kylian Mbappe. As I said, 13 Champions League goals this season. 5 more than any other. It was an incredible score and run. Since the loss in the Supercopa on the 11th of January, Kylian Mbappe's only failed to score in one game for Real Madrid. He scored in 6 of the last 7 games, and that was the last game that he failed to score in. A 4-1 win for Real Madrid at the weekend against Real Sociedad. He's on the bench the whole game, rested ultimately, but scored a penalty against Levante, 2 goals against Monaco in the Champions League, 2 against Villarreal in La Liga, 2 against Benfica despite losing, and then goals against Rayo Vallecano and Valencia in his 2 most recent appearances in La Liga. So in each of the last 6 games that he's played, he's scored. In terms of the ones that he's featured in, 6 out of 7, which is an unbelievable record. I mean, in total, the terms of goals, 9 goals in 6 games for Kylian Mbappe is an incredible feat. It's an incredible number. No doubt about it, one of the best strikers on planet Earth at the minute. So, and that's going to be Real Madrid's cheat code. If they are going to go far in this competition, they really need to continue feeding Kylian Mbappe opportunities and chances. Because if not, they're going to be in a real difficult spot. He's 13 goals, Kylian Mbappe, but he failed to score in 3 of his Champions League games. Juventus, Liverpool and Manchester City are the 3 games that Mbappe failed to score in, and he still leads the way with 13 goals. He scored 4 against Olympiacos in that 4-3 win for Real Madrid. He scored a hat-trick away at Caoimhan, scored 2 against Marseille, 2 against Monaco, and then 2 against Benfica. Quite incredible. So in the games that he's played in the Champions League this season, the ones that he scored at least 2 goals in every game that he scored in the Champions League this season. So when he's on fire, he's on fire. Here's Vinicius Jr. Nicely shielded by Didic. He's going to get the free kick there as he was pushed over, according to the referee, by Vinicius Jr., who valiantly denies it, but the referee Francois Letessier gives the free kick the way of the hosts. Our referee tonight is Francois Letessier from France. Hasn't refereed many Champions League games this season. And I believe, if I'm correct, before I do my stats check, that he hasn't refereed either of these 2 teams this season so far. Francois Letessier. got to say, the atmosphere inside the Estadio da Luz this evening is really electric. They had a massive tifo before the game. I don't want to get it wrong. Was it an eagle? Whatever their mascot is, but a massive tifo. Kind of on the far side as you come from the tunnel. It's the stand just in front of you, and that's what European nights are all about. Huge games, big opponents, massively incredible atmospheres. That's a lovely overlap here. Is Shelder up, trying to break into the box. He got past Alexander-Arnold, but had a great defence. Bresciani couldn't get his shot off cleanly. Picked up by Dedic. Now Pavlidis off the right. Ashnes gives it back to Barrero. And now back to Araujo. He plays it back to Nicolas Otamendi. Down the right-hand side. Picked up well by Prestiani, who's charging towards the box. Tries the cross. Blocked well by Huysen, but it will be a corner to Benfica. Yeah, the game had a little bit of a lull spell in the last few minutes, but Benfica pushing on once again. Thank you everybody for joining us. Antonio Scott in the chat says Gala winning Juve 5-2 is incredible. It was an incredible game. I was watching it before kickoff here. An incredible game, incredible result for Galatasaray, who've pulled off some big shocks this season in the Champions League. A real dark horse in this competition. Corner delivered by Auschness. Back post and the header. Straight down the throat of Thibaut Courtois. That to be an incredible header to beat it from that range as Dedic steps in and wins it back. Real Madrid a little bit second best. Here's the shot from range. Low and hard from Dedic. Again, straight down the throat of Courtois. You can see it here. He's just given the time and space to have the shot, Dedic. Comfortably gathered by Courtois, but Real Madrid just not getting their press right at the minute. Benfica taking advantage on a number of occasions. We are now back. They are now underway at Signal Iduna Park between Borussia Dortmund and Atalanta. That was a 15-minute delay in that game, but they are now underway. That's a good matchup as well. I have to say, the knockout playoffs have set up some really nice matchups. Some really intriguing battles. Here's Vinicius Junior. Gets it back to Carreras after a good challenge, but Valverde's picked it up. Camavinga. Across to Huysen. Has to play it back the way to Rudiger. Huysen. Down the left-hand side it comes. Guerreras. Mbappe. Tchouaméni to Goulet. Goulet gives it back to Rudiger. Madrid having decent possession, but not really finding much options towards the area. They're sitting deep. Really compact. Our Benfica out of possession. Here's Goulet. Arda Goulet's going to shoot. Straight down the throat, ultimately, of Anatoly Trubin. It was a fierce effort from Arda Güler, but Trubin had it under control. Oh, an interception, nicely intercepted there by Tchouaméni as a loose pass from the left back there, Dahl, but hopefully not much comes of it. Camavinga plays it out to Carreras. Mezer says, who's playing better as of now? Well, Benfica have been able to get more shots off and been more productive in the final third, but Real Madrid look, when they're in possession, settled. And I think Benfica, I would say, have slightly edged it to this point, but again, Real Madrid can be that type of team that don't need to thump loads of shots in, they just need to be accurate. Both of their shots have been on target so far. So they're picking the moments at the right times. Mbappe's effort, and then Arda Güler's shot. Both have been ultimately comfortably saved, but ultimately on target and testing Anatoly Trubin so far. But I'd say Benfica, albeit, have slightly edged it in my opinion. We have a goal to tell you about already at Signal Junior Park. A late kick-off there, but they've already had the opening goal, and it is Dortmund who have taken the lead. They're on a great run in the Bundesliga. Borussia Dortmund, an incredible run, and they have started the knockout phases. Vinicius Junior struck it wide. That was good play by Real Madrid. Just as I was updating you on the Dortmund score. See it here. Worked down the right-hand side. Beautiful ball by Alexander-Arnold. Goulet with a cutback, and it took a deflection. And as it falls to Vinicius Junior, he just dragged it wide of that left post. Wasn't too far away. Off target, ultimately it was. And that was dangerous for Jose Mourinho's team. A whisker away was Vinicius Junior. As I was saying, Borussia Dortmund an incredible run in the Bundesliga, and they lead Atalanta by a goal to nil. Serhou Guirassy, who is their star man up front, the 29-year-old Gideon, has got another one. He's on. If Kylian Mbappe is in great form, so is Serhou Guirassy. He's got 5 goals in his last 3. That's 6 now in 4, including tonight's game for Serhou Guirassy. He's an wonderful run of form for Borussia Dortmund, who are really making a charge for the Bundesliga title. They're only 6 points adrift of Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. And in terms of their form, they're an incredible unbeaten run. They haven't lost in the league since late October when they lost away at Bayern Munich. They are unbeaten in, I believe, if I can count my numbers correctly, 15 league games they're unbeaten. They've played 22 games this season. They've lost 1, and that was away at Bayern Munich early in October. Incredible for Borussia Dortmund. Another goal in Monaco, and it's 2-0 to AS Monaco. They've doubled their lead, so the reigning champions have a lot of work to do if they're going to fight back in this one already. Folarin Balogun, with 2 goals inside 18 minutes, has given Monaco a 2-goal advantage against the European champions. Having all the goals elsewhere, but here at the Estadio da Luz, still goalless at the 21 minutes. Real Madrid have come the closest with Vinicius Junior's effort that skipped just wide of that left post. And a deflected cutback. Benfica have kept themselves very much involved in this one too. It's a good, intriguing battle. I think this is the one where you'd say, if there's going to be a real kind of blockbuster of a second leg where it could go either way, I think this is one that's really tightly contested. Rafa Silva tried to go for the little 1-2 with Shelder up, but Brestiani's press is overrun, and Alexander-Arnold still has control of the ball, albeit as he does get his pass off, he has it intercepted, and now he's up the field. The ball played down the right to Didic. Seen out of play by Carreras, out for the Benfica throw. Camavinga under pressure. Carreras on the ball. Prestiani trying to close in, but Camavinga was the outball and he clears it away, but only as far as Araujo, who picks it up. Auschness finds it through to Pavlidis, who was pulled back as he played it through there, wanted the foul. Referee said no, and jeers from the home crowd in the response to the referee's decision. Looked like he was pulled back there, Evangelos Pavlidis. The referee said no. Now there's been a penalty at Monaco. An incredible game between Monaco and PSG so far. and Monaco from a 2-goal lead. They still lead 2-0, but PSG had a penalty, and Vitinha's penalty was saved. So PSG given a golden opportunity to get back into the game, but saved by the Monaco goalkeeper, Philippe Cohn, and he's kept it at 2-0 to Monaco. I have to get that game on. I'm just putting this on my second screen here just to make sure that I've got all the action to my left hand side. You're not going to miss a moment, but a dramatic start to these knockout playoff games. This one's been more of a war of attrition, both sides really testing each other, but no one really having ultimate goal-mouth action, as that was a good chance from Auchnaz. His effort from range was well saved by Courtois, who had to deal with the deflection. Here is Carreras. Receives it down the left, but used his hand to keep it in play. That's going to be a free kick to Benfica. Well, Benfica have won 3 of their 4 Champions League or European Cup games against Real Madrid. Lost the other. They beat the Spanish side, of course, 4-2 in that final round of the league phase fixtures to progress to the knockouts and have a good overall record against them in the competition's history. I feel that they might have the edge coming into this one tonight. Nicely done by Scheller. Plays it back to Dahl. Arsenal into Barrero, who got a little bit loose with his play there. Chouameni feeds it into Camavinga for Madrid, finding Vinicius Jr. Mbappe back out wide to Carreras. Now Mbappe comes short. Mbappe will shoot, and shot it too high and wide. Goal kick it will be, but choreographed that well, and Mbappe's final effort was just off target. But again, their movement and their build-up play is nice for Real Madrid at times, and just need to have that killer attempt. So far, they just haven't been able to pin on Benfica. There's 25 minutes. Possessions very similar, 55 to 45 in Real Madrid's favour, but shots are very even as well, 5 to 4 in Benfica's favour. 3 shots on target to 2, also for the home side's advantage. But again, they're playing themselves into trouble there. Goulet's flick ball. Vinicius Jr. crosses it, but the flag was up against Vinicius Jr. Offside. Yeah, well, it's a close one. Araujo, I think, might have just played him on, but too tight to tell. And the assistant said offside. I disagree, but the assistant had the final call. There's a bit of pressure there on Huysen. He's forced it out for a Benfica throw. Nice press there by Pavlidis. I think the first goal in this match could be massively important. Here's Dedic battling with Carreras, who won the tussle. Plays it back to Dean Huysen, who hoofs it long. It will be left by Araujo, who wasn't too sure whether to come or not, but nicely mopped up by Dahl, who played it to Scheldrup. He's got the underlap. Scheldrup holds on to it for now against Alexander-Arnold. Rolls it back. Now it comes to Dahl. Inside to Scheldrup. Finding Prestiani, who just had it nipped away. And Goulet trying to feed that ball in behind for Mbappe, but well cut out by Otamendi. Yeah, good tussle at the minute. Barrero. Dedic. Auchnaz trying to dictate from deep. Barrero. Auchnaz again. Linking it up with Pavlidis, trying to work a bit of space back to Auchnaz. Now Skelderup. Into Arshness, bit of space again being created, but not much through ball play as the ball comes out to the left for Prestiani, who was closed out, but won back again by Benfica. Really trying to pen themselves onto Real Madrid here. Maybe a bit of patience as well from the hosts. Need to pick their moments. We have a goal in Monaco. Oh, Prestiani's effort well over the bar. A goal in Monaco, and it has come for the European champions. Desiree Doué gets one back for Paris Saint-Germain. Really nice finish with his left foot into the far corner, off the inside of the right post. And he gets PSG back within a goal. They wanted a foul in the build-up there, Monaco, but referee said play on, and ultimately PSG get the ultimate advantage out of it. Whether he committed a foul in the build-up, Doué, no, it was a little soft. And Doué there to finish off. A good Paris Saint-Germain move. And the European champions back in the match. Pavlidis couldn't quite squeeze it through. Arshness' through ball was deflected back to Huysen. Now Chouameni on the turn finds Arda Güler. Down the left hand side comes Carreras. Inside to Vinicius Jr. with a pocket of space. Feeds it back to Valverde. Guides it out to Mbappe. On the right hand side. Mbappe trying to fizz it across, but blocked by Barrero and seen out for the throw. Just on the verge of the half-hour mark here at the Estadio da Luz. Benfica 0, Real Madrid 0. Camavinga. Vinicius Jr. Back to Rudiger. Arda Güler. Alexander-Arnold. Nice little 1-2. Mbappe. Arda Güler into the box. Tried the cross, was blocked. And it's actually last touch off Arda Güler. Behind for the goal kick. Yeah, last touch came off the winger. Otamendi did get the block, but it rebounded back off Arda Güler and behind for the goal kick. Long clearance there by Benfica. Puts Huysen in a bit of bother. He guides it back to Courtois, who's under pressure. Deals with that pressure well and feeds it to Antonio Rudiger. Down the right channel, taken in by Güler, finding Alexander-Arnold, who scooped his shot poorly, and Barrero intercepts. Down the left it comes, Prestiani. Bodies in and around the edge of the area. Barrero, Arshness. Again there. Getting into the final third on quite a few occasions, Benfica, but just haven't had that ability to break through. That's a nice ball by Skelderup towards Pavlidis, headed away by Huysen, picked up by Dedic. Prestiani now, back to Araujo. Really good play in the build-up from both teams, but it's lacking that cutting edge in the final third as of yet. Here's Skelderup. Trying to cut it back to the edge of the area, well blocked by Arda Güler. And cleared long by Alexander-Arnold. But Araujo again wins the first header. Benfica receive possession with Barrero. Lots of space in the midfield. Here's Rafa Silva trying to feed it in behind. Again, you got to say though, they're giving up a lot of space in midfield, Real Madrid, but when they do break forward, Benfica, there's just no room to exploit when they get in and around the 18-yard box of Real Madrid. The fact that so many of their midfielders are so deep is just creating a monster overload around the edge of the area. But they are hampering a lot of midfield possession at the moment, Real Madrid. A recap of the rest of the games at the moment. 32 minutes gone in Monaco. It's AS Monaco 2, Paris Saint-Germain 1. And at Signal Junior Park, that was a late kick-off, an 8:15 kick-off. 19 minutes gone there. It's Borussia Dortmund 1, Atalanta 0. Here it is goalless. Heisen, Vinicius Junior, just pushed by an impatient Dedic. Now, Real Madrid have won 8 of their last 10 UEFA Champions League games against Portuguese opponents. Drawn 1 and lost 1. Netting 22.2 goals on average per fixture during that run. So in terms of their fellow compatriots, haven't fared well against Real Madrid over the past few games. Benfica, but they may be bucking that trend a little bit. Here's Arda Güler. He actually feinted that one. Chouameni tried to feed it through, but Caoimhan picks up the pieces, finds Carreras. Up against Prestiani here, who's dropped deep. Carreras has to feed it back to Heisen. The centre-backs of Real Madrid are almost entering the final third of Benfica here. Mbappe, well, dispossessed, but not for long, is picked up again by Valverde, and now Mbappe. Chouameni. Right to the left-hand side for Carreras, who go for the early cross, headed away, and picked up by Barrero on the edge of the area. No room for Prestiani to get away, but he does win the throw. Alleviate a little bit of pressure for the hosts. Dedic. Oh no. Give up of possession there by Benfica in the middle. Valverde takes it down. Alexander-Arnold. I wanted a free kick because there's a Benfica player down. The referee is now going to stop the game to make sure that he is okay, and I'll have to see who that is. Is it Rafa Silva? See it here. Chouameni and Rafa Silva just kind of collide. I don't think there's much in it. Both going for the ball. Yeah, there's not much in that, in my opinion. Rafa Silva comes off the worst, but it's not a foul. Oh, and now there's a little bit of pain as Rudiger stands over Rafa Silva, and that's got a little bit of tension. Benfica players not happy that a few Real Madrid players just standing over Rafa Silva. It's unnecessary, really. Something the referee has to get in line. Francois Letessier. Rafa Silva is down and might need a bit of treatment as we go to a shot of the players on the bench. We see it again here. As he drops, oh, he kind of gets a bit of whiplash as he drops to the ground there, and Rudiger's saying that he faked a head injury. That's what I can gather from what he's saying there. Rafa Silva doesn't look particularly okay. He's receiving treatment, but Real Madrid felt they were being kind of falsified, and Benfica felt that it was quite clearly a foul, but the referee trying to find something in the middle of all that. And a stoppage at the moment, which has been a pretty even first half, I gotta say, between the two teams, albeit Real Madrid's efforts have been more dangerous. Benfica have been able to produce more shots. And possession's been 50-50. It's been a very well fought game to this point, but as I said, the first goal could be absolutely huge in this tie. And Rafa Silva back on his feet, which is good to see. Still struggling a little bit as he does return to his feet. Well, he's been out with a couple of niggly injuries at the end of 2025. Rafa Silva. And of course, only joined Benfica in the January window from Besiktas. After he was a Benfica player for 8 years, between 2016 and 2024. And joined Besiktas on a free in July of 24 and then returned to Benfica for £4.3 million, so they definitely got done on that deal. Alexander-Arnold across! Kylian Mbappe couldn't quite reach the delivery. Beautiful delivery, and Mbappe trying to throw himself at it, just couldn't reach. Right from the restart of the game, Real Madrid have an unbelievable goal-mouth action chance. Well, there Alexander-Arnold cross, cleared away. Howson keeps the pressure on, finds Vinicius Jr. Nicely well battled by Prestiani. He kind of stumbled on his way to dispossess himself in a point. Here's Vinicius Jr. up against Dedic. Last touch off Vinicius Jr. Goal kick. Wanted a corner there. Goal kick given. I have to see this chance again. Alexander-Arnold. Beautiful ball across, and Mbappe, I don't know whether he just kind of steps over the ball. See it again. He just doesn't get his feet. Doesn't get his feet ready, and that is a huge opportunity. He just couldn't, in the end, find the finish. Real Madrid have had two amazing chances. That one for Mbappe and then the one earlier on for Vinicius Jr. They've not taken either chance. There's another Benfica player down. He slowly gets back to his feet, does Barreiro. Seems like Real Madrid taking a little bit more grip of this game as the half's gone on. 5 minutes of the half to go. Remain goalless, but kind of feel the momentum is swinging a little bit in the away side's favour at the minute. It's kind of the feeling I'm getting out of this at the moment. Tchouameni going for the switch ball. Too high towards Vinicius Jr. Goal throw in to Benfica. Yeah, we saw Barreiro go down a little earlier. Again, it's just a little 1v1 battle with Caoimhan in the air. It's nothing in it. We have another goal in Monaco. And from 2-0 up, it's back to 2-2. Paris Saint-Germain have found their leveller. And it's that man again, Desiree Doué shot cleared away, rebounded, back into the path of Achraf Hakimi, who tucks it home and levels the game. It is Monaco 2, PSG 2. A great fight back from the European champions. And another high-scoring game in the Champions League in the knockout playoffs. Remember, there's second legs to come in both these games, but in all of these games. But PSG and Monaco getting the goal scoring in early. First half of the first leg. It's 2-2. Ishkelderup. Quite the exact opposite here. No goals. So we edge close to half-time. Arshness. These two gave us a real thriller. As I said, it's 4-2 it finished between these two in that Matchday 8 league phase game, as Dedic's cross was ultimately hooked away by Alexander-Arnold at the back post. Real good matchup so far. But albeit on the big chances we've seen tonight, Real Madrid probably could be 2-0 up. But they're not. That's where we stand as we edge close to half-time. Caoimhan. Nice ball. Picked in the spot was Mbappe. Across. Mbappe! Missed the target. That's another chance. Applauded by Arbeloa, the interim head coach. It's good play down that left-hand side though. Carreras across. Vinicius Jr. with a little flick. And Mbappe with a strike that was well off target, but it's the finishing that's been lacking from Real Madrid tonight. Mbappe with 2 great chances. Vinicius Jr. with 1 as well. And neither of them could find the finish on either in any of those shots. That's the difference at the minute. That's the difference between the sides. Pavlidis. A bit forceful. He's lost their way a little bit here, Benfica. Real Madrid, as I said, have just started to take control of the game. Here's Caoimhan drifting forward. Not much interception there. Take it in. The shot! Down and saved off Mbappe by Trubin. Another chance. And another Trubin save. He's keeping Benfica in this. Real Madrid are really turning the screw. And if they get to half-time 0-0 Benfica, they will be happy at this rate. Because Real Madrid are really putting it on them as the half comes to a close. Alexander-Arnold. Played into Mbappe. Trying to spin away from his marker. Finds Vinicius Jr. Who took the deflection off the block. Off Araujo. And behind for the corner. It's all Real Madrid at this minute in time. It's just little interchanges in between the lines. Really crisp, sharp movement from Real Madrid. And they're tearing Benfica to pieces here. Corner. Left-footed delivery. Punched away by Trubin. Alexander-Arnold with the follow-up header. Scrambling around as they clear it away. With Araujo. Goulet. Down the right-hand side. 3 added minutes at the end of the first half. Arda Goulet! Good save by Trubin again. Shot after shot. Real Madrid continue to get closer. Arda Goulet's effort struck towards goal through the legs of Otamendi, and Trubin was needed again. That's a really good save. Just pushed it wide behind for the corner. Alexander-Arnold to take this corner. Left-hand side. Right-footed delivery, it's deep to the back post. Headed away by Arsnes. Again, tries to clear his lines from the rebound. Plucked out of the air by Dedic. They wanted a free kick there, but Valverde's cross a little low. Cleared away by Arsnes. And only as far as a throw in for Real Madrid and inside the Benfica half. But you gotta say, Alvaro Arbeloa will be pleased with his side's performance, but he'll be frustrated that they haven't been able to take the lead from the chances they've created, Real Madrid. There's a couple of good saves out of Trubin and some really poor efforts, you gotta say, some poor finishes on chances that really should have been more threatening. But if they go in at half-time goalless, Real Madrid will believe and know they've been the better team, but the scoreline won't reflect it. It will remain level. Stays as it is. That's a nice run from Mbappe. Cut back from the byline. A little bit too lofted. Away from Arda Güler and cleared away by Dahl. Last minute of the half. And Benfica, who'd started really well, have just come under a real bit of fire from Real Madrid as the halves come to a close. Crucially, the game still remains goalless. Scott says to you, regret not picking Monaco v PSG Watchalong. No, I don't, if I'm honest. I mean, I would love there to be goals and love this to be a real crazy goal fest mad match, but I just think this is the better matchup. But of course we'll reassess depending on where we are come the second legs next week. At the moment we will continue with the 2 games we're watching this week. We'll watch the second legs next week, but it will depend on results and what the closest games are. But at the moment, I still believe this is the best matchup. Corner for Real Madrid, right hand side. Last few seconds of the half. Survive one more attack, Benfica, and get in goalless at the break. They'll be very pleased. Alexander-Arnold's whip ball. Rudiger up for it. Drop for Mbappe. His shot was blocked by Arsnes. Again into the box it comes. Prestiani trying to clear, but stolen away by Dean Huysen. Again the block by Arsnes, who clears long again. A little bit of a run for Rafa Silva here, who has to be seen out of play by Carreras. And that's going to end the first half. And you got to say, referee Francois Letessier not popular there at ending the first half, but 3 minutes were up, and a first half that Benfica, in the end, had to really struggle their way through in the final 10-15 minutes. Real Madrid really pushed down on the accelerator pedal. They couldn't find the finish. A number of big saves from Trubin and some missed chances for Real Madrid. And Benfica really thanking that they are level at the break. Half time, it is Benfica 0, Real Madrid 0. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and battered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to Champions League Live. Second half between Benfica and Real Madrid on the way in about 7.5 minutes. But it was a pretty close first half up until the final 10-15 minutes, where Real Madrid really took firm grip of the game and really put it on Benfica, having quite a number of shots late in that first half. But crucially, the hosts were able to hold on and keep it at 0-0 going into the break. And I gotta say, for moments in that first half, Benfica were probably the better team and probably had the better chances. But as the half went on, it only grew in Real Madrid's favour, and they had some incredible chances that they really should have taken. Kylian Mbappe with a couple, Vinicius Jr. with a really big chance as well. And I think, those are the moments that you do start to question when you see so many of those chances not being taken. It could go one or two ways. They could either get it together and have that many chances that they do score one or two, or they miss that many that you kind of think maybe it isn't just their night tonight. But remember, Real Madrid don't need to win this game tonight. Of course, they've got the second leg at home next week. It's a two-legged tie, so there's no need to rush things. But I think so far from what we've seen from Real Madrid, they've grown into the game, they've settled into the game. And a little bit of a shaky start, but they were able to come through that unscathed and then kind of take command of the game as the half went on and try and put their own chances into the back of Benfica's net. But at the moment, there is nothing to separate the two sides in this one. Elsewhere, a lot of action has taken place across the Champions League tonight in the three other games that have been treated to so many goals. There's been another goal at Dortmund. They're now 2-0 up. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But from the early game this evening, between Galatasaray and Juventus, a 7-goal game in Turkey. Galatasaray took the early lead when Gabriel Sara scored after 15 minutes, but a quick turnaround from Juventus gave them the lead. With 10 cup miners with 2 goals. After 32 minutes, it was Juventus 2, Galatasaray 1. But that was to be the real end of the scoring for Juventus on the night. They came back out in the second half. Galatasaray got a leveller after just 4 minutes of the second half. Noah Lang made it 2-2 before Davinson Sanchez then gave the hosts the lead once again from 3-2. Not long after that, it got worse for Juventus as Juan Cabal was shown a second yellow card and sent off, and then it was free roam for Galatasaray there on in. Noah Lang with his second made it 4-2, and a late goal from Sasha Bowie made it 5-2, and it has made a commanding lead that Galatasaray will take to Turin next week to try and progress to the round of 16. It finished Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2. And look at the chances, 22 shots. They had 9 shots on target, over 60% possession for Galatasaray. So they, in the end, dominated the game and quite deservedly won. It is a real shootout between AS Monaco and Paris Saint-Germain in Fontivy. At the Stade Louis II, deuxième, if I got my French right there. It is 2-2 at the break. 2-2. AS Monaco took a 2-goal lead. Fuller and Balogun with the 2 goals after 18 minutes gave the hosts a 2-goal lead, but a comeback from the European champions. Desiree Douy with the first and Ashraf Hakimi with the second got them back on terms. A great game, as well as PSG missing a penalty. Vitinha had his penalty saved in that game as well. So quite a dramatic affair there in Monaco. As I said, Benfica 0, Real Madrid 0 in our game. And Borussia Dortmund, that was a later kickoff. Of course, the game was delayed, an 8:15 kickoff in Dortmund, and that first half still on the way. They just come into the end of the first half there at Sigma Junior Park, and it is Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. Seydou Girassi gave the hosts the lead after just 3 minutes, and Max Bayer has then added to that lead 3 minutes from the end of the first half. It is Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0, and the hosts in firm control there in Germany. So, as it stands, lots of goals elsewhere. None at the Estadio da Luz, but still a big second half to come between these sides. And a reminder for you, we have another game to come for you tomorrow, where we will have the huge game between Qarabağ and Newcastle. Can Newcastle get to the round of 16? They'll have a tough task in Qarabağ, the longest European trip away this season. That's tomorrow, a 5:45 kickoff from the UK, a UK time for that one, and we will be live for that one a little earlier tomorrow. Bodo Glimt will welcome Inter Milan. Atletico's trip to Club Brugge and Olympiacos against Bayer Leverkusen are the later games tomorrow evening. And of course, we will of course have the second legs that will take place next week. Of course, in the Champions League, the return legs, we will very likely, unless something crazy happens, but the second leg of the Newcastle Qarabağ game will be next Tuesday night. And Real Madrid Benfica, the second leg of that will be next Wednesday night. Of course, all depending on what the scores are and what way the state of the big games are come next week. But the likelihood is we will have the return legs of both of our games we will cover this week. Big second half to come though between Benfica and Real Madrid in the first leg. It's goalless at the break, but Real Madrid were pushing for the opener. Can they find it? Will Benfica give it a real tough away game for Real Madrid, where they've struggled on the road this season? We'll find out. Second half of the Estadio da Luz is on the way next. Welcome back to Champions League Live. Second half at the Estadio da Luz is on the way in just a moment, but updating you that it is 2-0 to Dortmund, just gone half-time in that one, and of course it's a final score between Galatasaray and Juventus. So the second halves in Monaco and in Lisbon are on the way. Championship games for you: Bristol City 1, Wrexham 1, and Charlton 0, Portsmouth 3 in the EFL Championship tonight as well. In those ones, but back to the Champions League, and the players out for the second half here in Lisbon. A reminder for you, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'll be greatly appreciated. And a big second half for Real Madrid to come here. If they can take a lead away from this game, they will surely be favourites to be heading through, but Benfica have caused them trouble before, so there's no guarantees. With the chances they missed in that first half, Real Madrid, you do wonder, have they got the shooting boots on tonight? They really have been very inaccurate with a lot of their chances in that first half, as the second half gets up and underway. That is the big question, you know, when you have so many chances in a game. I mentioned it at halftime, but when one team has so many chances at a really good spell of the game and they don't take any of them, you know, you kind of question and wonder, is it just not their night, really? And, you know, are they going to falter? Or it could go the other way and they continue to have so many chances that they end up taking one of them and getting their just rewards. But, you know, Benfica are a tricky side, and they're a side that, even when all's against them, they're not going to give up. Rafa Silva trying to find Pavlidis, who was challenged. The crowd wanted a penalty. The referee said he got the ball. Rudiger with the crunch and challenge. We'll see it again here. It looked fair in my opinion. I think the flag was up anyway against Rafa Silva. I think that's what the call was from the official, and he was correct. So the challenge on Pavlidis is irrelevant, but yeah, it's definitely not a foul, not a penalty. Good clean challenge by Antonio Rudiger. Pavlidis just kind of bundled over, but nothing in it. And the flag was up anyway, so completely inconsequential. Evangelos Pavlidis, I have to say, every time that I've kind of across the league phase when Benfica had scored, he seemed to be the one, or he seems to be the one that Benfica always rely upon when it comes to this, the goal scoring. Albeit only 2 goals in the Champions League this season, but in terms of across the campaign, he scored 20 goals in Liga Portugal. 4 assists from his 22 matches so far, 2 in the Champions League, 3 in the Taça de Portugal, and 2 in the Taça da Liga, so a total of 27 goals in all comps for Benfica this season. He is their main man, Evangelos Pavlidis, and scored in the 2-1 win over Santa Clara at the weekends. And Benfica trying to chase down the league leaders Porto and their local rival Sporting in that race for the title in Portugal. They sit 7 points off the league leaders to Benfica, 3 points off their local rival Sporting. They are the only side in the league unbeaten this season. 15 wins and 7 draws from their 22 league matches this season, Benfica. The 2 teams above them have only have lost, but only once. And they don't draw many of those 2. So the 7 draws is what are undoing Benfica in the league. But you can't fault their unbeaten record. You gotta say, it looked like early in the campaign in the league phase that they were going to be nowhere near testing anybody to go to the knockouts. As I said, after they lost their first 4 league phase games, and I think at one point, I think it was Benfica and Ajax that had lost every game to start the campaign. And I don't know whether at that time I made the point that there's no chance in hell that either of those 2 could get anywhere near knockout football. Oh, what a goal from Vinicius Jr. from absolutely nowhere. They've missed some big chances tonight, Real Madrid, but an incredible goal. Pure quality and class from Vinicius Jr. Cuts inside off the left-hand side and curls it into the far corner with his right foot. Sheer quality from Vinicius Jr., who the referee is telling to come away from the fans, celebrating towards the Benfica fans, and he's really upset the home crowd. And he's given his team an unbelievable goal and an unbelievable opener in this tie. See it here. Again, it comes from just a break forward. And he just kind of glides onto the ball, steps onto his right foot, and absolutely rockets it into the far corner. It's an unbelievable effort. No chance for Anatoly Trubin. Cuts inside. And that's a gorgeous finish by Vinicius Jr. Cuts inside Dedic and fires it into the far netting. Beautiful goal. As I say, the many chances Real Madrid have missed tonight. And this is an unbelievable goal that opens the scoring. And then, as I say, he celebrates to the visiting crowd, which gets him a yellow card for over-celebrating, which I think is stupidity at its finest, that there's such a thing as over-celebrating in football. But that's what the yellow card was given for, celebrating to the home crowd, and the referee, Francois Letessier, take nothing away from the finish from Vinicius Jr. Fabulous goal. He's given Real Madrid the lead, and I said the first goal in this tie is huge, and Real Madrid 6 minutes into the second half after they was an onslaught of Real Madrid chances at the end of the first half that couldn't find the net. Their first real chance of the second half is a perler from Vinicius Jr. And the referee still hasn't restarted the game from the goal. He's not actually sure what's happening. And Vinicius Jr. is walking off the field. And I think he believes... I don't want to make any rash statements because I don't actually know what's happened, but Real Madrid are unhappy with something. Vinicius Jr. is unhappy. Alvaro Arbeloa and the whole Real Madrid bench are up. His cards flannered everywhere. Referee's not happy. There's a red card for one of the Benfica backroom staff. It's absolute chaos here. And Jose Mourinho is now having a chat with Vinicius Jr. Kylian Mbappe as well. The referee, I mean, he's no chance here, the referee getting a hold of this. I think Prestiani, the cameras keep going to Prestiani, and I think they believe that Prestiani has racially abused Vinicius Jr. That is the claim, and that's why we believe Vinicius Jr. has left the field of play. But this all came about from Vinicius Jr.'s goal, celebrating in front of the opposition fans, got him a yellow card, and then they all exploded. But you got to say, if there has been any racial abuse towards Vinicius Jr., that none of his actions kind of excuse that. Let's just make that clear, that any sort of racial abuse is completely and utterly unacceptable, and he has the right to protest it. Of course he does, and right with the protocols that UEFA have quite clearly given. But whether that has been or not, well, that's not for us to debate. But clearly Vinicius Jr. is unhappy with something that was said. And the cameras keep going on Prestiani. We just see Vinicius Jr. walking off. And then running away is Kylian Mbappe towards the referee to... Yeah, Vinicius Jr. then runs towards the referee. Then Mbappe backs him up in saying that he was racially abused. Well, here, Prestiani, I gotta say, does not look like an innocent figure, because he puts his shirt over his mouth, then says something to Vinicius Jr., and that what sees Vinicius Jr. charge towards the referee. And Jose Mourinho having some words with Vinicius Jr., but he sat down on the bench, Vinicius Jr. So this has caused this game to blow up into chaos. Alvaro Arbeloa is having a chat with the referee, and Jose Mourinho is in the conversations as well, the Benfica boss. But it's a really horrible thing that's just happened, and you know, it's 5 minutes since the goal was scored. A really gorgeous moment from Vinicius Jr., a beautiful goal that's just been really tarred by this really horrible claims of racial abuse against Vinicius Jr. from an opponent player, which is, if I don't want to kind of cast aspersions and either say one way or the other whether it happened or not, but at the same time, Vinicius Jr. feels strongly that it did happen, and it's really caused some major upset. But Alvaro Arbeloa is having a chat with Vinicius Jr., his player. I don't know what they're going to try and discuss here, but for the moment, this game has been stopped after Real Madrid took the lead. Vinicius Jr. walking off the field and then claiming that he has been racially abused. But again, the debate still comes that Kylian Mbappe and Nicolas Otamendi are going at each other's throats as well, still debating the issue. And again, Vinicius Jr. is still making the claim that Prestiani covered his face and said a racial slur to Vinicius Jr. and covered his mouth in doing so with his shirt. And you can see that he did. I don't know, we can't make it clear that what he said, but whatever was made, he didn't want the cameras to try and lip read it. And I think that says a lot more than you need to know or hear what he said. Prestiani seemed to in my opinion, act with malice there, and whatever he said, he didn't want the cameras to see. And Vinicius Jr. was incessant, and that whatever he said was of a racial intention. And again, we see Vinicius Jr. reenacting what happened to his manager, and you can't really argue against it. The referee was, as soon as he heard it, they followed the protocols. And I don't actually know what the protocols are. I don't know what happens from here, but at the minute, the game has been stopped for 7 minutes, almost 8 minutes. And it was just that before the game had even restarted from the goal, the referee, we'll see it here. He covers his mouth. He covers his mouth with his shirt, Prestiani. And whatever he said, he looks guilty. Whatever he said. But Vinicius Jr., as soon as he heard whatever it was, went straight to the referee to make the claim. And then reiterated that to Jose Mourinho and his own manager. And the game is going to get back underway, I believe. But Vinicius Jr. is back on the field, and the game will continue after an 8-minute delay. After Vinicius Jr. reported a moment of racist abuse and claimed that it was Gianluca Prestiani. And now Kylian Mbappe is still not happy. He's still going at Nicolas Otamendi. The referee has a real tough task on his hands to get this game back under control. The assistants had to come on the field to try and wrestle back Kylian Mbappe, and the referee is chatting to Gianluca Prestiani. And the referee is claiming what has happened. And a lot of emotions riding high between the players at the moment of both sides, but I mean, if, and it's a big if because we can't cast any aspersions and claim anything has happened, and Vinicius Jr. clearly felt something had happened, but it is disgusting if it did happen and completely inexcusable. And of course, this is something that will rumble on well past this game and well past next week, whenever this tie is over. Another horrible moment in football that is just completely and utterly inexcusable and takes away from the game in and of itself. That a goal that was so gorgeously scored by Vinicius Jr. and all of this explodes afterwards. Here's Caoimhan. Game's back underway, by the way. Vinicius Jr. scored on the 50th minute. We're now in the 61st minute, and the game has just got back underway. An incredible delay. And well in line with the protocols of UEFA's rules, of course. The referee heard the claim of racist abuse and stopped the game immediately. Here's Mbappe. Now Arda Güler. Arda Güler got a shoot. Blocked. Picked back up though by Güler, who couldn't quite find towards Vinicius Jr. and cleared away. By the way, whilst all that's happened, Monaco have been brought down to 10 men in their game. Alexander Golovin has been sent off. Initially given a yellow card, but changed to red, so he's been sent off. So Monaco down to 10, and it's 2-2. It remains there in that one. It's still 2-0 to Borussia Dortmund against Atalanta. And a game that was very delayed. Looks like it's going to be in line with this game come the final whistle, because we're going to have a major delay to this. The end of this second half. A lot of added time due to the big stoppage. Lovely switch ball to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Inside to Valverde. Caoimhan. Across to Dean Howson, who rolls it through, finding the run of Carreras. just evading Vinicius Junior the crossfield ball. And Benfica trying to scramble it away. Arsnes has his pass intercepted. Well picked up by Valverde. Now Alexander-Arnold. Back out wide to Fede Valverde. Plays it infield to Tchouaméni. Now Camavinga. Across to Carreras. Down the left of Vinicius Junior, who's getting booed from the home crowd. But if they understood what had happened, I don't think they would be booing. Or I wouldn't like to think they would be booing. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Flick ball down the right hand side to Camavinga, who was well challenged by Nicolas Otamendi. And Camavinga trying to bite back. Foul given against Eduardo Camavinga. Free kick to Benfica. I think the stoppage as well is, in terms of the football side of things, it's just really caused a massive kind of break in the momentum. And all the momentum that Real Madrid would have garnered from that opening goal to take the lead has just been completely kind of eradicated, really. I gotta say, it's not easy, I'm sure, for Real Madrid to be out there, and Vinicius Junior especially. I mean, you gotta say, he's getting all sorts from the home crowd. Every time he gets on the ball, the jeers, the boos. He still has to play on after what has happened. And I gotta say, if there has been kind of racial abuse towards Vinicius Junior, I hope that it's the harshest punishment that UEFA can give, because there is no room for that at all. That's really just taking the shine off the game, and we don't want that to happen, but sometimes life takes over and the realness of things come first. Here is Mbappe to Carreras, trying to go for the cutback. Arda Güler was the target, but cut out by Barreiro. Mbappe trying to nip in, wins it back. Kylian Mbappe rolls it across to Güler, who just couldn't keep the ball. Nicely won back by Tchouaméni, who does really well. Wanted the foul there to Benfica, but a real clean challenge by Aurélien Tchouaméni. 25 minutes of the 90 to go, but I'm sure around about 10 minutes of that will be added on to the ends. Here's Güler. Back to Dean Howson. Flicked out to the left-hand side. Carreras, now Vinicius Junior at the byline. And the last touch came off. Vinicius Junior will be a goal kick. Wanted a corner, not given. Have to see it again. Look at that challenge from Aurélien Tchouaméni. Clean as you like. No doubt about it. Cal Valverde sticks a leg in and wins the ball. Güler. Right, Camavinga. To Tchouaméni. Valverde. I gotta say, for Benfica, Real Madrid returned from that goal and have really just taken firm grip of the game again. I think I've just not even been able to get out of their own half, really, since the restart. Tchouaméni. Beautiful ball to Alexander-Arnold, who plays it first time inside to Valverde. Man, some nice stuff at the minute, Real Madrid. As I think Jose Mourinho is going to go to the bench. Here's Alexander-Arnold breaking forward in the middle. His ball through was well blocked and seen back to Anatoly Trubin. Well, I have to say, I don't know how the Real Madrid players, especially Vinicius Junior, has kind of refocused his mind. That's why they're the professionals. He's refocused his mind back onto the game after what's just happened. I mean, I can't stop thinking about it. I don't understand how Vinicius Junior has. There's been another goal in Monaco between AS Monaco and the European champions PSG, and it is the visitors, Paris Saint-Germain, who have taken the lead for the first time tonight against a 10-man Monaco. And it's Desiree Doué who started the comeback chance for PSG, has given them the lead. His second of the night, and PSG lead by 3-2. Beautiful takedown here by Mbappe. Up against Dedic. Mbappe tried to cut back outside, but was well shielded. And Araujo to Prestiani, who skips away from his man. And fed in behind to Pavlidis. 1v1, it's Rafa Silva now to Rudiger. And the ball comes to Skelderup. Skelderup across. Hooked away by Courtois and then flicked away by Tchouaméni with his head. Benfica trying to get themselves back into this. You've been under a lot of pressure all of the second half, really. Haven't been able to get out of their own area. Yet to have a shot in the second half, Benfica, and have had just 21% possession. Here's Prestiani. Dedic across. Pavlidis facing away from goal and wasn't able to get the shot off as he had it cleared away from his feet. Beautiful ball by Alexander Arnold. Finds Valverde. He's got space to roam into. And just plays it back to Camavinga. And now out to Vinicius Jr. hugging the left touchline. Plays it back to Fede Valverde. Mbappe down the right to Goulet. And the crowd are not happy even when Kylian Mbappe gets on the ball. Well, to be fair, he was trying to pick a fight with Nicolas Otamendi. But understandable considering what we've seen and what has happened. I have to say, as expected, social media has gone absolutely nuts with what's happened. Vinicius Jr. flicked it toward Mbappe. Plucked out of the air as Vinicius Jr. right down the throat of Trubin. I have to say, the conclusion to everything that happened, the reason we got back underway, I believe, is actually really sad and really disappointing. There was no way to prove that racial abuse had occurred, and therefore that's why the game is resumed. Because if there was a claim, then Real Madrid could have a real claim that they could walk off the pitch. But because there was no way that the referee could prove it, they play on, which is ultimately really sad, considering that Vinicius Jr. has to go through all that, protest it, and then still have to come back out there and continue with a game of football that is hugely important, considering that he was the victim in all of this. Arshness. Space for Dedic down the right hand side, placed it Prestiani, who skips away from his tackle. Prestiani. Pavlidis. Well shielded again by Tchouaméni, who got the block. And now Real Madrid on the breakaway with Arda Güler. Fed down the left-hand side for Vinicius Jr. Up against Barrero. Vinicius Jr. breaks into the box, trying to dribble his way through. And forces a good save out of Trubin. There was nothing stopping Vinicius Jr. there. But Trubin's right hand in the end did. And puts it behind for the corner. Beautiful little close control. And the flick actually comes off Otamendi and then onto the hand of Trubin, who made the save. Well, I'm sure based on what's happened we'll get more information from UEFA, but We'll wait and see. Corner to Real Madrid here on the left-hand side. Ball whipped in. It's too deep, but picked up by Mbappe on the edge. Mbappe going to switch it across. Nicely blocked by Barrera, but Alexander-Arnold there to retrieve and recycles it back to his goalkeeper. Here is Eduardo Camavinga. Couldn't really take on 3 players there, although he tried it. But Caoimhan's won it back, and they said it was another fair challenge. Given away cheaply though. Skelderup plays it to Pavlidis down the left-hand side. Pavlidis blocked by Valverde, out for the Benfica throw. And I said Benfica were going to make the change. And the substitution, Georgi Sudakov, is going to replace Rafa Silva. And the second substitution has just been made as well. Just saying that it's Skelderup, and he's being replaced by Richard Rios. So Rios and Sudakov on, Skelderup and Rafa Silva off for Benfica. And albeit I have to be neutral, but I have to say, honestly, the way I feel at the minute watching this game, from what I've witnessed and what's happened, I feel, I mean, really kind of annoyed at the whole situation. If you can understand what I mean. Sudakov, well blocked. His ball in, fade by Alexander-Arnold. Vinicius Jr. skips in to win the ball, although not very much there for him. Picked up again by Benfica here, trying to push late on to find a leveller. The ball comes out to Dedic. Dedic steps onto his left foot, goes for the shot, took a deflection, and it actually bobbles away from the Real Madrid box off Alexander-Arnold. He picks it up here, looks to try and guide it towards Vinicius Jr. Well defended by Otamendi, and Barrero clears it away, but comes off a Real Madrid player last. Will be a Benfica throw. 15 minutes to go. But of course there will be a lot of lengthy additional time. Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1. Vinicius Jr. with the goal. Dedic. Down the right to Prestiani, who chops back. Back to Dedic. And intercepted there by Caoimhan, who actually hit the referee in trying to clear the ball. So it's going to be a drop ball. I have to say, I'm trying to kind of compose myself, because I'm I still can't get the whole racial moment out of my head. It's, I mean, it's incredibly infuriating, and we will of course hear a lot more about it after the game. But I mean, the sad thing is this has happened before, multiple times before to Vinicius Jr., and that's the really sad part about it, that every time it happens there's only so much that can be done about it, but he's left with the lasting impact, if you know what I mean. And nothing seems to change. Whatever kind of cheap slogans that UEFA and football try and use, it's very little lasting change. And it's, you know, I'm not saying it's excusable when it comes from the stands, but emotional and all of that from the fans, they're not the role models. On the field, if a player says it, if a player engages in that sort of behaviour, it's even more kind of infuriating, that it's an even bigger setback. Rather than taking steps forward, you know, we're going back into the dark ages. Slip there from Mbappe. Gets a cheer from the home crowd. Here's Prestiani. Goes down, wanting a penalty. He's not going to get one. And I got to say, I'm trying to censor myself. He's been diving for simulation. That's not the worst thing he's done tonight, but he's going to get a yellow card. He probably should have got quite a number of red cards for what he done earlier on, but we'll not go there. He's been booked for diving there, Prestiani. And rightfully so. I mean, it was never a penalty. I mean, he threw himself to the floor. Snowflake behaviour. I mean, that's the nicest thing I can say. Look at him over arguing with the referee. You're not the one that's been hard done by. I can tell you that much. Gianluca Prestiani. If you think that's bad, you wait to see what's coming. Anyway, back to the football. Rightfully booked. Rightfully, he was simulating that he was fouled. It was never a foul, never a penalty. But at the minute, even at the moment, Benfica don't look in any way coming back into this match. Here's Vinicius Junior. Good save out of Trubin again. I have to say, every time Real Madrid come forward, you think they're going to score. And even when Benfica are breaking towards the box, they're lacking conviction in the final third. They just don't look a threat. Vinicius Junior, I have to say, every time he's got into the box, he's had a go at Anatoly Trubin's goal. Forced a couple of good saves out of him in the last few minutes. As Benfica go to the bench once again. They made a double change just a few minutes ago. And Jose Mourinho makes another change. Frederic Arsnes is replaced by Lopez Cabral. Got to give him his full name. Sydney Lopez Cabral. And are they making another change at the same time here? Benfica? It looks like they're going to make the double change. They are. So the second substitution is going to see the introduction of Dodi Lukebakio, and he's going to replace Gianluca Prestiani. And let's say that's the last time I will have to say his name, and thankfully so. I have to say I could say a lot worse. And I don't want to say a lot worse. Last 10 minutes of the 90 minutes, but that doesn't take into consideration the extensive additional time. But to this point, as it stands, you know, credit to Real Madrid in the fact that the start of the game, it looked like a tough match for them. Here's Cabral, his first action of the game. Shot from range is well wide of the target, but that's better than what had come before for Benfica. Yeah, good shot, but well off target. Need to create something, need to force the issue a little bit here because they're trailing at home. They've got to go to the Bernabeu next week in the return leg, and a new tougher place in Europe to go. Certainly a top of a very short list of incredibly tough places to go, and Bernabeu not a place you want to go with a disadvantage and a deficit to try and overcome. That's why Benfica just need to get a bit of a hurry up here if they're going to try and fight back into this tie. They needed something of a goal to tie this game and give themselves some fighting hope. It's a home record that's actually quite strong for Benfica. They just lost one of their last 9 home games, and that was in the Taça da Liga against Sporting Braga. They've won 6 of those 9, drawn 2, and lost the 1. Although their Champions League home record is not as proficient, 2 wins and 2 losses in their 4 Champions League games coming into tonight's game. Picked up just 6 points from their home games, which would have been a disappointment for Jose Mourinho. Albeit the 2 games they did win were huge games. Napoli and, of course, against Real Madrid, where they won 4-2. Oh, that's a good challenge on Caoimhan. But again, not much further to come for Benfica as that's scrambled clear by Rudiger. Well, for Real Madrid, their away form's been in and out, really. They've, in terms of their last 5 away games, they've lost 3, including that defeat away at Benfica in late January. And their 2 wins have come in La Liga, though, away at Villarreal and Valencia in the last 2 away league outings. The other 3 defeats have come in 3 different competitions: the Supercopa, the Copa del Rey, and the Champions League. Free kick here for Benfica. And Jose Mourinho right up to the 4th official, exclaiming more should be given out of that. We'll see it again here. A little slip from Lopez Cabral. And it was Richard Rios that was fouled. We see it here again. It's Vinicius Jr. just into the back of the player, and it's... yeah, it's a little bit cynical from Vinicius Jr. Jose Mourinho, if you remember seeing that famous clip of Jose Mourinho at Spurs where he was sitting down and his assistant clearly tells him something and he rushes to the 4th official, something similar to that. He rushed to the 4th official, speed of light, and he's got a second yellow, Jose Mourinho, and that's a red card, which is going to send him to the stands. And not the first time in his career that's happened for Jose Mourinho, although he's not going very far. He has to take a seat. Screams at the 4th official. Continues, and the 4th official clearly tells the referee, having none of it. Second yellow means red for Jose Mourinho. As I said, he's no stranger to getting a red card, the Benfica manager. Although, to be fair, I said he didn't go very far. He didn't go up the tunnel or into the stands. He kind of walked through a gate and sat down just behind the bench. So is he still on the field, technically? On the sideline? Real Madrid have made a change. Their first change, Brahim Diaz has come on the field. I'm not too sure who for at the moment, but I'll tell you in a moment. Big free kick, though, for Benfica. Well, that's a short straw first action for Brahim Diaz, being the draft excluder in the free kick. In the wall. Free kick for Benfica. Thibaut Courtois setting up his wall as Kylian Mbappe's been given a yellow card here. I mean, this game has been tense right the way through, but understandably so in the second half. Brahim Diaz replaced Arda Güler, by the way. As we await this free kick, it's a game that's already going into quite a lot of additional time. We're into the last 3 minutes of normal time. It is big opportunity here. Left-footed effort off the wall. It deflected onto the roof of the net. It had Thibaut Courtois worried. And it goes behind for the corner, I believe. Yeah, it was the shot by the substitute, Lopez Cabral. Took a deflection off the head of Carreras and went onto the roof of his own net. Had his keeper worried. Corner to Benfica. Right-footed delivery, up and headed away strongly by Brahim. Here's Dedic going for the deep ball into the area and picked up nicely by Thibaut Courtois. I haven't updated you on the other two games, but coming in the last few minutes in Monaco, it's still 10-man Monaco 2, PSG 3. And coming into the last 15 minutes of that later kickoff between Dortmund and Atalanta, it is still Borussia Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0. Last minute of the 90, and then we'll officially know how many minutes will be added on. Huysen, Camavinga, Carreras trying to play the ball down the left channel towards Vinicius Jr. Hooked and cleared away by Benfica, but picked up by Carreras, and it's going to be a free kick actually, the way Benfica. Ball against Carreras. It has been a strange game after the restart. Here's Sudakov though, to try and reignite something in Benfica. Sudakov, Pavlidis. Now Rios. Dedic across from Luca Bacchio, but cleared away. That's much better from Benfica, but Real Madrid clear it as the 90 minutes is up. 12 added minutes. 12 minutes is the official time. That's added on. Give it an 8 or 9 minute stoppage for the anti-racism protocol that had taken place, and then added substitutions and etc. etc. as Vinicius Jr. was fouled by Dedic. I think Real Madrid come away with the victory here tonight. They'll be more than pleased. A tough place to go, a place they've been haunted by just a few weeks ago, and to come away with victory here tonight after everything that's happened would be a massive result. And to take a lead back to the Bernabeu next week will be another massive benefit. Luca Bacchio, who's cross, took a deflection off Vinicius Jr. behind for the corner. Right-footed delivery, swung in, booted away by Valverde. And Vinicius Jr. on the chase for it, was taken down. That's going to be a free kick, and that's going to be a yellow card for Sudakov. Yeah, it's good intention from Vinicius Jr. just chasing for the ball, and he was caught late. Smart play from Vinicius Junior there. And Sudakov into the book. Minutes is a long time. We've played 2, so still 10 minutes of additional time to go, but every little minute that ticks down, Real Madrid hang on to this lead, the closer they become to picking up a really important victory. As I said, it's been a turbulent start to the calendar year for them. Dumped out of the Copa del Rey, losing, sacking their manager, being sacked, losing to Barcelona. You know, it's not the start to the year they would have wanted, and of course then failing to secure a top 8 spot in the Champions League after starting match day 8, I believe 3rd or 4th in the table. So this will be a big result to kind of get their season back on track outside of just domestic football. There's a bit of pressure on Araujo there. Puts it behind for the corner after Mbappe chasing him down. Real Madrid going to go to their bench again. There's a few balls on the pitch. Vinicius Junior spoken to by the referee, and the corner's going to be taken, but I think the referee's telling them there's going to be a substitution before the corner could be taken. So Eduardo Camavinga is going to be replaced, and we're going to see the introduction of 18-year-old Thiago. So 18 years old, coming off the bench for Real Madrid late in this game. The second substitution of the match. Alexander-Arnold to take this corner, left-hand side. Six Real Madrid players in and around the 6-yard area. Caoimhan's hand fighting, as he's got a hold of something that's come from the crowd, a projectile of some sort that's come from the crowd, and that doesn't bode well as well. I don't know what that is. It looks like a vape of some sort. It's massive. It's not like it's whacked in the head with that. But even Anatoly Trubin's not happy with the crowd, looking around at his own fans in disgust, really, and rightfully so. I mean, there's no excuse for throwing projectiles onto the field. But Vinicius Junior and Nicolas Otamendi having words. Otamendi showing him something under his shirt. I don't know what. Weird. Corner delivered in. Straight into the hands of Trubin. Bloody anticlimactic corner, that. I don't know what Nicolas Otamendi. He lifted his shirt up. I don't know if he was showing Vinicius Junior a tattoo of something, but I don't know. Strange. Here's Lopez Cabral. Halfway through the 12 added minutes. That's a nice movement from Sudakov. Cabral. Back to Dahl. Inside to Sudakov. Still pushing for that leveler, Benfica. Unable to combine there as Valverde clears and plays a lovely ball here to Thiago. Now Kylian Mbappe. Breaking forward, finds Vinicius Junior. Takes his man on, and Araujo, well seen out by Araujo. So Vinicius Junior still has a hold of the ball. And able to keep possession as he feeds it back to Carreras. And they've managed this quite well, Real Madrid. This additional time, it's a lot of additional time to a crowd that's been really kind of intense. A Benfica team that have been inspired to try and find a way to come back into this game. But again, right the way throughout the night, They just lack that cutting edge, Benfica, in the final third. I mean, we've not really seen much of Evangelos Pavlidis in terms of goal-mouth action. Most of their shots, really, of any real note, have come from range. And Courtois hasn't really had to make many saves. Real Madrid, every time they've come forward, they've got a corner or a shot on target, or at least had a go at goal. They've been really efficient tonight, Real Madrid. Albeit, though, accuracy and clinical, not words I would say about Real Madrid tonight in the final third, though. But 7 shots on target, and probably the hardest one to find the net from is the one that they do score from. And they've took the sting out of it. Nice possession. Here's Caoimhan breaking forward, plays it out to Vinicius Junior on the left, and every time he gets the ball, the crowd continue to boo and jeer. Lovely from Valverde. Comfortable as you like. You just feel at the minute Real Madrid are just going to see this one out unless something dramatic happens between now and the final whistle. It has all concluded in Monaco. PSG have scripted their way through with a 3-2 victory, of course, to take back to Paris next week. After Monaco were 2-0 up in the game. They conceded 3 and got a red card, so a night that started so well for Monaco hasn't ended anywhere near that good for them. And Dortmund just coming to the final few minutes of normal time there. Looks like these two games might end at similar times, but it's Dortmund 2, Atalanta 0 after a delayed kickoff there in Dortmund. Right, so Real Madrid made another change there. That was only their third sub of the game, but of course you have the 3 windows to make your 5 subs. You've used all 3 windows. Dani Carvajal has come on to replace Carreras at left back, so that is their third and ultimately last substitution. Nice takedown by Rios in the middle. Lopez Cabral. Is it back to Otamendi now? Back to Lopez Cabral. 2.5 minutes for Benfica. Try and take something out of this game to take to Madrid next week. Otamendi out to Lopez Cabral. Going for the early cross, and that one will be ultimately guided by Dani Carvajal, who looked comfortable and in the end does really well. Experienced head, look back, you trying to get a pull or a foul of some sort, but that's just incredible defending by Dani Carvajal, who, as you can see from the grey hairs in his beard, has done this quite a few times before. See at this moment again between Nicolas Otamendi and Vinicius Junior. I mean, they're laughing and smiling between the two, so it's all banter between those two. But whatever it was, Otamendi lifted up his shirt and was showing him a tattoo that got a real reaction from the crowd behind the goal, but no idea what it was. But all banter between those two. Of course, know each other very well. That's a beautiful ball forward, plucked out of the air by Kylian Mbappe. Hounded by Araujo. Mbappe still has control as he gets to the byline and wins a corner out of Araujo. He's frustrated. But it is a corner to Real Madrid. Last minute of the 12 added. And every time there's a corner down this side, something happens. Vinicius Junior is over to take the corner. And the crowd again, just by the sight of Vinicius Junior, are not happy. I mean, why he has to go there? I mean, I understand, but why Vinicius Junior has to stand over there? He's not taking the corner. He's just antagonising the crowd even more. Alexander-Arnold's picking pieces off the grass, but if Vinicius Junior just walks away and doesn't take the corner, I mean, I'm not saying they're excusing fans throwing things, but even Vinicius Junior being over there is antagonising the crowd. Just have a bit of sense. Corner it is to Real Madrid. Last few seconds of the game. And as more objects are thrown, Vinicius Junior now complains. See it again here. I mean, to be fair, he is whacked with a water bottle. I mean, it's just completely inexcusable. Absolutely disgusting. But, again, take the corner and blow the final whistle. I mean, poor referee. Corner delivered in, punched away. And Benfica want one last counter-attack. If the referee will allow it, he will. If they can pick something of it, but they've given it away cheaply. Now Mbappe breaks into the box, cuts it across. And cleared away by Benfica. But there's the final whistle. After 103 minutes, this game is now over. And Vinicius Junior's beautiful goal is the difference that gives Real Madrid a lead to take back to Madrid. But that's, I think, less than half the story of this game. A game that was a real tight affair from the first half, turned into a real ugly one in the second. A claim of racist abuse against Vinicius Junior and projectiles being thrown from the crowd as well puts a real ugly turn on this game. Ultimately, Vinicius Junior's goal was a pearler of real beauty, but more, I believe and suspect, the headlines will be more about off-the-field actions rather than on-the-field ones. Final score from the Estadio da Luz. It's finished Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1. Final whistles emerging from around the grounds. Dortmund still winning by 2-0 against Atalanta into additional time in that one. That one should conclude any moment. But confirmation of the other scores. Galatasaray 5, Juventus 2, Monaco 2, PSG 3. Monaco were 2-0 up, lost a man and conceded 3 goals. So not the night they would have wanted. And the way it started looks so promising. And Benfica beaten by 1-0 by Real Madrid. Dortmund still 2 up and an additional time there. Well, before we leave you tonight, I just want to kind of reiterate that the real ugly turn that this game took after about an hour, where Vinicius Junior made the claim that he had been racially abused by a fellow player on the field in Gianluca Prestiani, and that really changed the game into what was a pretty ugly atmosphere, I have to say. Projectiles were being thrown late on, and it just turned the game completely from a moment of pure class and beauty from Vinicius Junior mere minutes later into something of a real ugly nature. And again, whatever happens from now, I'm sure if there is any evidence to prove that there was racist abuse vilely thrown at Vinicius Junior, then it should be punished by the utmost force by UEFA, and no prisoners should be taken. It should be an easy decision if there's clear evidence. But the fear is, like before, it will likely go unpunished. But we'll see what UEFA will have to say, and they have to take a hard stance on it if anything has happened. But I got to say, the referee followed the protocols. Vinicius Junior rightfully protested from what he felt that he heard, and Prestiani was given a long talking to by the referee. I don't know if it's definitely not enough if it was proven, but Prestiani did say something. We know that. He covered his mouth and didn't want the cameras to see, and that, to me, proves guilt of something, that he did not want the cameras to see what he said, and that does not bode well for him. But if he did say something racist, then shame on him completely. Clearly, I'm not qualified to say anything about this, but we're going to leave it there tonight for this one. It is now finished. I was just trying to fill some time as well to tell you the final score between Borussia Dortmund and Atalanta. It has finished 2-0. Right, coming up tomorrow, we have an English side in action. Newcastle are away to Qarabag tomorrow at 5:45 as they get their knockout stages of the Champions League underway. Reminder, 5:45 kickoff, so earlier than the usual Champions League time. And we will have that one for you tomorrow evening. But for tonight, it is Vinicius Jr.'s beautiful goal that sees Real Madrid take a lead back to the Bernabeu next week. And that is, as I said, less than half the story. And the headlines will be much more about the claims of racist abuse and projectiles that took an ugly turn on what was a pretty good game, ultimately, other than that. Thanks for your company tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.